This scene may look like a simple argument over V1 on the surface, but it is actually doing a lot more than that. It is drawing a line between people who still believe power can save them and people who have already learned that power only makes everything worse. And honestly, that is why I think this moment matters so much. It is not just about who gets the V1. It's about what kind of ending this story is heading toward. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now this scene is packed with tension from the very beginning, because nobody in that room is really arguing about the same thing. On paper, they are all talking about V1, but underneath that, everyone is talking about fear, trust, regret, and survival. You have one side trying to keep things calm by saying they only want the V1, and that if they get it, everybody can walk away safely. That sounds reasonable for about 2 seconds, but in a world like the boys, the second somebody says just give us the dangerous super serum and no one gets hurt, you already know things are about to go sideways. And that is exactly what happens. The refusal to hand over V1 is what gives the whole scene its emotional center, because this is not just someone being stubborn. It is someone looking at that compound and seeing a curse, not a weapon. That line about destroying it instead of using it is really important. In my opinion, that tells us the show is making a bigger point here. V1 is not being treated like salvation anymore. It is being treated like contamination, something that ruins lives even when it promises power. That idea gets reinforced by the conversation about time and loss. One character basically says that people always change eventually because he has watched too many people grow old and die. That is not just a random emotional line. It tells us that the people in this scene are carrying years of pain and experience. They are not debating V1 in theory. They are debating it after a lifetime of seeing what power and immortality do to people. And honestly, that makes the refusal stronger. Because when someone still says no after hearing all of that, it means they are not afraid of the people in front of them as much as they are afraid of what V1 itself represents. Then the scene gets even tenser when the bluff starts collapsing. At first, someone insists that V1 is not even there, but almost immediately the others figure out that was never true. They know exactly why it was brought. Not for control, not for leverage, for Geisha. That changes the whole emotional temperature of the scene, because now V1 is not just hidden in a pocket. It is tied directly to love, guilt, and desperation. That is what makes this scene more interesting than a normal standoff. Nobody here is acting purely strategically. They are acting emotionally. Someone brought V1 because they wanted to save Geisha. Someone else wants it destroyed because they know what it does to people. Someone else wants it because they know power like that can shift the war. So even though the room is full of threats, the real fuel behind all of it is emotional attachment. Then Ben arrives, and the whole thing becomes even more unstable. Because once Ben enters, the conversation stops being about negotiation and starts becoming about history. There is clearly bad blood there, deep, old hatred. And I actually like that the scene does not waste time pretending otherwise. One side instantly makes it clear that they do not trust him. That is a strong choice, because it keeps the scene honest. These people are not going to suddenly act like allies just because a bigger threat exists. But then comes the counterargument. Ben hates Homelander more than anyone else right now, so that hatred becomes the one reason to trust him. And honestly, that is such a perfect The Boys kind of alliance. Not trust built on loyalty, not shared values, just mutual hatred of one worse person. That is messy, that is unstable, and that is exactly why it works dramatically. I also want to mention the humor in this scene, because The Boys always knows how to throw something absurd into the middle of heavy tension. The line about the face being special because a queen once sat on it is ridiculous in the best way. It completely cuts through the seriousness for a second without ruining it. And in my opinion, that kind of humor is one of the things that keeps this show from collapsing under the weight of its own darkness. The scene needs that little bit of weird energy, because otherwise it would just be straight aggression the whole way through. Now, once the threats turn physical, that is when the scene reveals what it is really setting up. The line about strong skin not protecting your neck is more than just a threat. It is the scene reminding us that invulnerability in this universe is always conditional. No one is completely safe. No one is untouchable. There's always another angle, another weakness, another way to hurt someone. And the fact that another character has to step in and calm Ben down tells you that this room is only one bad move away from total collapse. That is what makes this scene feel so important to me. It's not just a conversation about V1, it's a preview of the bigger fight coming. Trust is weak, alliances are temporary, love is being used as leverage. Old enemies are standing in the same room pretending this can stay civil. And everyone knows deep down that eventually this ends in violence. So if you ask me what this scene is really doing, I think it is building the emotional logic for the next major confrontation. It's showing us who is motivated by love, who is motivated by fear, who is motivated by hate, and who still believes V1 can be controlled at all. And in a story like The Boys, that usually means a bloodbath is not far behind. But anyway, that is my breakdown of this V1 confrontation scene and why I think it is much more important than it first looks. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think destroying V1 is actually the right move, or do you think someone is still going to use it before this is all over? I'll catch you in the next one.